This man faked a proposal to his girlfriend, then annoyingly told her he was just practicing to propose to someone else. Can you imagine? Months later, after leaving her, he returned pleading for another chance. Do you think his girlfriend will accept him back? Let's find out. Kindly subscribe to this channel for more of our latest updates. One day, Andrew proposed to Brenda, asking her to marry him and spend the rest of her life with him. However, she politely told him that it wasn't the right time. She suggested they sit down and have a conversation. Brenda advised him that the money he spent on the ring could have been used to start a business venture instead. She suggested he get a refund and invest the money to build something sustainable. She also assured him that she loved him and would wait until he was fully ready. Guys, do you think Brenda made the right choice for her man? Or should she have just accepted his proposal even though he was broke? Let us know what you think in the comments below. The next day, Andrew and Brenda were in the living room enjoying their time together when Brenda's phone rang. She ignored the call and told Andrew that it was from a man who was interested in her, but she had no interest in him. Andrew suggested she answer the call and put it on speaker. Brenda obeyed, and as she answered, she firmly told the caller that she already had a man in her life and that he should stay away. However, he persisted, offering her any amount of money to be with him and insisting she leave her broke boyfriend. Hearing this, Andrew became upset and insulted the caller before telling Brenda to end the call. He then turned his frustration toward Brenda, questioning how the man knew about his financial situation. A few months later, Andrew took Brenda to a beautifully decorated room filled with balloons and designs. She expressed how beautiful it was, and then he proposed to her again, asking her to marry him. Overjoyed, she immediately said yes, only for Andrew to cover the ring and tell her it was just a rehearsal for how he planned to propose to his boss's daughter. Heartbroken and disappointed, Brenda was left speechless as Andrew told her to leave when she was done. That same day, Brenda tearfully explained everything to her friend, crying as she recounted how she had been there for Andrew for 7 years, supporting him through everything, only for him to leave her for someone else. Her friend consoled her as they discussed the situation. The following day, Andrew's friend visited him and asked why he was looking through Brenda's pictures. Andrew explained that he was trying to delete them, but his friend urged him to focus on his boss's daughter, insisting that he should forget about Brenda, who had refused to marry him because he was broke. Guys, do you think his claims are true? Did Brenda really reject him just because he was broke? Let's find out. The next day, Brenda confronted Andrew, demanding to know why he wasted 7 years of her life only to leave her for another woman. Andrew coldly told her that he had moved on and that she should do the same. That night, Andrew couldn't sleep. He lay in bed holding a picture of Brenda, thinking about her. The following day, Brenda went to Andrew's house and asked why he left her to marry a woman he barely knew. Arrogantly, he told her that his boss's daughter was interested in him, not the other way around. He accused Brenda of refusing to marry him when he was broke, but now expecting him to marry her just because he had money. Calling her a gold digger, he enraged her to the point where she attempted to slap him, but he warned her not to dare. Meanwhile, a young man approached Brenda's friend, asking her to talk to Brenda and convince her to give him a chance. However, she explained that Brenda was not a child and that she couldn't force her to make a decision. Still, the man persisted and asked for Brenda's address, but her friend refused to give it to him. At the same time, Andrew's friend saw Brenda outside and approached her. She explained that Andrew had left her outside, and he took the opportunity to tell her not to waste her energy on someone who didn't love or care about her. Trying to win her over, he even claimed that if he couldn't have her, no one could. Brenda was displeased and accused him of being the one who convinced Andrew to leave her. Things took a darker turn when he demanded that she sleep with him. Feeling disgusted and upset, Brenda walked away. The next day, Brenda told her friend about the confrontation with Andrew's friend and blamed him for influencing Andrew's decision. However, her friend told her to stop deluding herself. Andrew didn't leave her because of his friend's influence, but because he made that decision himself. She urged Brenda to move on with her life. That same day, Andrew's friend insisted that he should marry his boss's daughter as soon as possible, arguing that it would give him an advantage and put him in charge of the company. However, Andrew firmly told his friend that he didn't need his validation. He knew what was best for himself. The following day at the gym, Andrew worked out on his own, while the gym instructor assisted Brenda with her workout. As the instructor touched Brenda while guiding her, Andrew felt extremely jealous and upset. He confronted the instructor, demanding his attention, but the instructor ignored him. Later that day, after the gym session, Andrew confronted Brenda about what had happened, but she dismissed his words, reminding him that they were no longer together and that she could do whatever she wanted. She then walked away while Andrew muttered to himself that he missed her a lot. That same day, Andrew received a call from his girlfriend, who was on her way to his house. He told her he would come to pick her up. Meanwhile, Brenda couldn't sleep. She stared at an old picture of her and Andrew on her phone, lost in thought. The next day, Andrew's girlfriend arrived at his home. He was surprised to see her, and she told him she had intended to surprise him. He welcomed her inside, and they spent quality time together. That same day, a man came to see Brenda and offered her a gift. She told him she wasn't interested, but he persisted. She eventually took the gift from him, only to throw it away. Meanwhile, at Andrew's house, he expressed his joy to his friend about his wealthy girlfriend's arrival. Once again, his friend urged him to visit her family and marry her as soon as possible, but Andrew told him he was working on it. Later, Clarita prepared a meal for them, but made a shocking mistake. She washed the vegetables with soap. Guys, do you think she's a good cook? Or will the food turn out terrible? Let's find out. That same day, Brenda complained to her friend for giving her address to a stranger she barely knew. However, her friend insisted that she should give the man a chance, reminding her that Andrew was not coming back. Brenda tried to explain that she was still figuring things out. Meanwhile, that same man approached Brenda's friend and begged her to convince Brenda to go out on a date with him. After some persuasion, she agreed. At the same time, Andrew's friend continued to pressure him to marry Clarita as soon as possible. However, Andrew complained about the food she had prepared, saying he wouldn't last 6 months in that marriage. His friend also expressed dissatisfaction with the meal, and shortly after, Andrew rushed to the toilet in distress. That night, Brenda complained to her friend about the date, saying that the man had kissed her, which she found embarrassing. She admitted that she didn't enjoy herself and that the date was horrible. Her friend playfully teased her about it, but Brenda, clearly frustrated, didn't find it amusing. Meanwhile, Clarita tried to be intimate with Andrew, but he remained silent and ignored her. Feeling rejected, she left for the living room and called her mother, complaining that Andrew was impotent and not sexually attracted to her. The following morning, Andrew went to the kitchen and came out upset. He called Clarita and asked why she hadn't washed the dishes or cleaned up. She responded nonchalantly, saying that she was his girlfriend, not his maid, and that if he wanted the kitchen cleaned, he should hire someone to do it. She then walked away, leaving Andrew frustrated. The next day at the gym, Brenda asked the instructor if he had seen Andrew lately, but he replied that he hadn't. Meanwhile, Andrew told his friend that he was reconsidering his marriage plans with Clarita. However, his friend insisted that he should proceed, reminding him that marrying her would secure his promotion since she was the boss's daughter. He even told Andrew that the marriage was nothing more than a business transaction, but Andrew strongly disagreed with the idea. The following day, Brenda met with James and told him that she didn't have feelings for him. James then apologized for unexpectedly kissing her during their previous date. That same day, Clarita came home feeling excited and told Andrew that she had bought some items from the market and planned to prepare a meal for them. Knowing full well that she was a terrible cook, Andrew quickly told her that he would hire a professional cook instead. He said he didn't want her to cook or do any household chores. He only wanted her to be beautiful. Hearing this, Clarita felt really happy. The following day, Brenda told her friend that Andrew seemed jealous when he saw her with James. She hinted that he still had feelings for her, but her friend asked if she was considering taking him back. Brenda firmly implied that even if Andrew came back, she would not accept him. That same day, Andrew's friend met Brenda and confessed his love for her, asking her to accept him as her partner. Brenda, feeling upset and disgusted, immediately asked him to leave her house. Meanwhile, Clarita smoked a cigarette while making a phone call. At the same time, Andrew's friend confronted Brenda's close friend, complaining that Brenda had kicked him out of her house. He arrogantly bragged about himself, but Brenda's friend, feeling displeased, ignored him. They ended up exchanging offensive words. Later that day, Andrew came home and smelled cigarette smoke. Disappointed, he realized that Clarita was smoking. That same day, Brenda's friend gave her a gift, saying it was from James. When Brenda opened it, she felt genuinely happy. Meanwhile, Andrew's friend saw Clarita kissing another man from a distance. Clarita came home drunk. Andrew, feeling frustrated, confronted her and yelled at her for her behavior. However, she shrugged him off, saying that whatever she did was none of his business. That same day, Brenda started getting along with James and promised to think about giving him a chance in her life. Meanwhile, Andrew regretted bringing Clarita into his life, realizing that if he ended things with her, he would lose everything he had. As he reflected on his situation, memories of the happy moments he shared with Brenda flooded his mind. The next day, Clarita called and placed an order for the items she needed to prepare for her wedding. Meanwhile, Clarita checked the kitchen and, seeing that the pots were empty, called her father to complain that Andrew hadn't prepared anything for her. When Andrew returned home, she nagged at him for not making food for her. He told her that she should have gone to a nearby restaurant to get something to eat, as she was no longer a child. In response, she continued nagging, so he handed her the food he had bought and left, feeling disappointed. The following day, while Brenda was on her way to the gym, she had a nice conversation with James. Andrew arrived in his car and observed them from a distance. Later that day, Brenda told her friend how jealous Andrew had looked when he saw her with James and admitted that it made her feel good. Her friend teased her, asking when James would propose, but Brenda replied that it was still too early and that she needed more time. The next day, Brenda dressed up and met James, who complimented her on her beautiful outfit. However, she felt uncomfortable and recalled how Andrew had once rebuked her for wearing short dresses, implying that he didn't want other men to see her legs. Snapping out of her thoughts, she suddenly told James that she had a headache and couldn't go out with him, then left. Meanwhile, Clarita complained to Andrew's friend about Andrew's attitude toward her. He assured her that he would talk to Andrew on her behalf and that Andrew would marry her. Feeling happy, Clarita transferred money to his account as a token of appreciation for his help. That same day, Brenda's friend asked her why she had canceled her date with James. Brenda explained that she didn't have feelings for him and found him too nice. She told her friend that she wanted a man who knew what he wanted, someone who was in charge, someone who would correct her when she was wrong, not a man who agreed with everything she said. The following day, Andrew's friend insisted that he set a date for his wedding with Clarita. However, Andrew told him that he had no interest in her. His friend kept pushing, urging him not to lose the opportunity, but Andrew rebuked him, saying that it wasn't just about money. Brenda had a good character compared to Clarita. That same day, Clarita searched Andrew's room and found a picture of Brenda. Feeling upset, she confronted Andrew and demanded an explanation. He ignored her as she continued nagging, but eventually he told her that Brenda was his ex-girlfriend. Furious, Clarita blamed him for avoiding her and accused him of cuddling with Brenda's picture every night. The next day, Clarita asked Andrew's friend about Brenda, and he gave her all the necessary information, including her address. Later that day, Clarita confronted Brenda, warning her to stay away from Andrew. She blamed Brenda for being the reason Andrew refused to proceed with their wedding. Brenda, feeling upset, asked her to leave her house immediately. After Clarita left, Brenda blamed her friend for allowing that woman into their home. She explained how rudely Clarita had spoken to her because of Andrew. Her friend defended herself, saying she had no idea why Clarita had come. Brenda then told her she would call Andrew and warn him about it. The following day, Andrew visited Brenda, telling her he had come to return her toothbrush. She was surprised, sensing that there was more to his visit. Andrew acted awkwardly, lacking the confidence to address the real reason he came. Eventually, he left without saying much. Meanwhile, Clarita confided in Andrew's friend, who took advantage of the moment, and they attempted to kiss. Just then, Andrew walked in. His friend quickly apologized, but Andrew, feeling enraged, punched him. His friend ran out, and Andrew immediately ended things with Clarita, despite her pleading. The following day, James talked to Brenda, asking why she had been ignoring his calls and messages. She explained that she couldn't continue seeing him because she didn't have feelings for him. They both ended things peacefully. That same day, as Clarita prepared to leave, she threatened Andrew, saying she would report him to her father and make him pay until he begged. However, Andrew ignored her as she left. The next day, Andrew confronted Brenda to plead with her. She resisted, but he sincerely apologized, expressing how much he loved her and couldn't live without her. He told her he would understand if she didn't accept him. Brenda remained silent and speechless. Later that day, as they talked inside, Andrew explained how he had caught his friend flirting with Clarita. Brenda confirmed that his friend had confronted her several times, but she had always refused him. Andrew then sat close to her, apologized again for how he had treated her, and expressed his genuine love for her. They kissed. The following day, Andrew came home and discovered that his house keys had been changed. He called the house agent, who explained the situation before ending the call. Meanwhile, Brenda confided in her friend, admitting that she loved Andrew and couldn't help it. Her friend disapproved, but Brenda had already made up her mind. The next day, Andrew called his account officer, asking why his bank account had been frozen. His bank manager informed him that his account was under investigation. That same day, Andrew stayed at Brenda's house. She offered him food, which he appreciated. She also expressed concern about his next steps regarding his bank account issue. He told her that Clarita was behind it and that they would resolve the matter in court. Brenda then explained why she had initially refused his marriage proposal. She told him it was because she wanted the best for him and didn't want him to be indebted to her. Andrew appreciated her honesty and apologized for misunderstanding her. He repeatedly thanked her. Later that day, Clarita confronted Andrew and admitted that she was behind the freezing of his bank account. She insisted that he beg her, but he refused, telling her they would settle things in court. Meanwhile, Andrew's friend blamed Clarita for giving him HIV after their affair. He expressed his frustration, but Clarita ignored him and mocked him. The following day, Andrew came home, expressing his joy to Brenda. He told her that the court had ruled in his favor and that he had won the case. They hugged. Weeks later, Andrew proposed to Brenda, sincerely expressing his love. She accepted, and they hugged. So guys, if you enjoyed this story, kindly subscribe to this channel to get more of our latest stories.